What's going on, everybody? It's Brandon, and welcome back to Marotta Media. Yesterday, I posted what I believe to be the 20 worst movies of 2024, and in today's video, I will be doing the polar opposite, and that is going over what I believe to be the best movies of 2024. 2024 was a really good year for movies, in my opinion. I don't think it was anything incredible, but we got a lot of phenomenal films this year. We got so many great movies, in fact, that I can't even fit all of them into this video. So I'm going to flash a bunch of movies up on the screen right now that I thought were excellent, but will not be mentioned by name in this video, unfortunately. But as I have for the past few years, I am going to be going over 30 movies that I thought were worthy of being talked about as the best movies of the year. And if you guys have been subscribed for a while, you will know how this is going to work. I am going to zoom through 30 through 11 as quickly as I possibly can. I might have some things here or there to say about a few of them, but not really anything too in-depth. I will not get into my in-depth thoughts until we get to the top 10. And just remember, this is my opinion. There may be a movie that you love that is not on this list, but this is my list, not yours. So let's not waste any more time. Let's end 2024 on a high note. These movies rocked. These are the 30 best movies of 2024. Starting us off at the bottom at number 30, I have a movie that could very well win Best Picture in a few months, and that is Conclave. At number 29, I have the musical biopic about Bob Dylan, A Complete Unknown. At number 28, I have a very underrated movie from Ireland, Kneecap. At number 27, I have the non-linear thriller Strange Darling. At number 26, I have the 3.5-hour American epic The Brutalist. At number 25, I have the second film from Jesse Eisenberg as a director, A Real Pain. At number 24, I have the highly underrated film starring Melissa Barrera, Your Monster. At number 23, I have the body horror film with one of the most insane third acts of the year, The Substance. At number 22, I have the prequel to George Miller's 2015 masterpiece, Mad Max Fury Road, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. At number 21, I have the chaotic 90-minute film from Jason Reitman showcasing the events leading up to the first ever episode of Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night. At number 20, I have the movie that surprised me the most with how much I loved it, and that was Jane Schoenbrun's I Saw the TV Glow. At number 19, I have the newest anthology film from director Yorgos Lanthimos, Kinds of Kindness. At 18, I have one of my favorite animated movies of the year, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. At 18, I have one of my favorite documentaries of the year that I feel like not enough people watched, and that was Skywalker's A Love Story. At number 16, I have a highly underrated thriller that I saw at the Phoenix Film Festival at the beginning of the year, Mother, Father, Sister, Brother, Frank. At number 15, I have another movie that I saw at Phoenix Film Fest earlier this year, and that was Mission Impossible for the Elderly, Thelma. At 14, I have the incredibly tense horror thriller starring Nicolas Cage and Micah Monroe from Osgood Perkins, Longlegs. At number 13, I have another one of my favorite documentaries of the year that made me tear up multiple times, The Remarkable Life of Evelyn. At number 12, I have the highly underrated vampire coming-of-age story, Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. And just missing my top 10 at number 11 was the movie that was once my favorite horror movie of the year, Late Night with the Devil. Well, those are my favorite movies of the year, 30 through 11. Now let's get into my more in-depth thoughts on the top 10. Kicking off the top 10, we have what is my favorite documentary of the year, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. I believe that the key to a good documentary is to educate the audience about things that they probably weren't previously aware of, and that is precisely what this documentary did. I have always known who Christopher Reeve was because I saw the Superman movies when I was a kid, but he was an icon before I was born, and he passed away when I was still very young. But after watching this documentary, I learned so much about the man, such as the fact that his family never really approved of him being Superman because they wanted him to do more serious roles. He started out as a Broadway actor, and he went from Broadway to being Superman. And then later on in his career, he felt trapped by the role of Superman, and he wanted to do other things. I truly think that this documentary is amazing. There isn't a lot that I can really say about it without giving away too much of what you see within it, so go watch it. Believe me, it's worth it. But just a fair warning, you will be on the verge of tears or you will bawl your eyes out several times, because I was so close to crying numerous times watching this movie. But if you're a fan of Superman or just Christopher Reeve in general, then go check out this documentary. Believe me, you will not regret it. At number 9, I have the latest masterpiece from visionary director Robert Eggers, Nosferatu. Nosferatu! I knew going into this movie that it was going to be amazing because I am a gigantic fan of Robert Eggers' previous 3 films, but it truly amazes me just how this man has not come close to missing once. He has made 4 movies that you could argue are all masterpieces in their own right. He really took a classic vampire film that came out over 100 years ago in 1922, and he made it feel original due to his own unique style and presentation. And let me tell you, the overall presentation of this movie is just something to behold. The cinematography is breathtaking, the costumes and the sets feel very authentic. And not to mention that the acting by just about every actor in this movie is phenomenal, especially from Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp. I know it's cliche to say that an actor is unrecognizable in a role because I feel like the term has just been beaten to death. But believe me when I tell you, Bill Skarsgård is unrecognizable here. From his facial features to his body to his voice, the first time he spoke in this movie, I truly thought it was a different character. I had heard all of these things about everything that he did to prepare for this role by changing his voice, but I didn't expect it to sound like that. I truly thought it was a different actor or character entirely. And Lily Rose Depp is equally incredible, giving a career best performance herself. But everyone is excellent. Nicholas Hoult, Willem Dafoe, Ralph Ineson, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Emma Corrin. The whole cast is just fantastic. Robert Eggers is truly a master at his craft, and I will absolutely be seated for whatever he chooses to do next. I have no doubt in my mind that it will be incredible. At number 8, I have the movie that was the subject of my most recent review and the musical event of the year, Wicked. We deserve each other, me and Bach. I've always been a fan of Wicked because I've seen the play live 3 times, soon to be 4. I will be going a 4th time in 2025. But I was on the Wicked hype train from the beginning because, as I said, I've always been a fan of the play, and the movie is being directed by John M. Chu. And John M. Chu directed In the Heights, which was one of my favorite movies of 2021, and also a fantastic musical. And he has delivered yet another one with Wicked. Wicked is everything that a modern movie musical should be. Bombastic musical sequences, amazing choreography, catchy songs, and incredible performances. And we get some incredible performances in this movie from Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. But what I found most amazing about the Wicked movie is that it feels very faithful to the source material while also feeling like a fresh new idea on this story. And on top of that, it definitely caters to fans of the play who were familiar with the source material while also being accessible to those who might not be. I really cannot wait for part 2 next year. Give it to me now. At number 7, I have the year's best animated movie, The Wild Robot. An absolutely beautiful film about motherhood, the importance of community, and finding one's purpose in the world. Truly some of the most stunning and vibrant animation you will see all year, with very likable and charming characters, with some of the most impeccable voice acting that you will hear in any animated movie. Lupita Nyong'o and Pedro Pascal absolutely kill it, but the whole cast does. This movie is hysterical while also being very sad. It had me laughing so hard, and then the next minute it had me on the verge of tears. There wasn't really any movie this year that made me feel such a wide array of emotions like that. I truly expect this movie to take home Best Animated Feature at the Oscars in a few months, because if it doesn't, I really don't know what else would come close to taking it. At number 6, I have the movie that probably has the most sexual tension of any movie you will watch this year, Challengers. If you weren't a fan of tennis before watching this movie, then you probably might be a fan of tennis now. I don't think I've ever seen a movie make a sport so sexy, intense, and accessible as this. And the game of tennis is truly a perfect metaphor for this story of a love triangle between our central three characters. It's like a back and forth tennis game of love, friendship, and betrayal, and it is truly brilliant. This movie probably has my favorite editing of the year because the story is told in a non-linear fashion. It is all out of order, but at no point do you ever feel lost. It's very clear what time period each scene takes place in, and it's easy to tell if it's in the present or the past. The camera work is also stunning and truly amazing and innovative. It just makes you wonder how they thought of some of the things that they do with the camera in this movie. And not to mention that Zendaya, Mike Feist, and Josh O'Connor are all fantastic in this. All of their characters are very likable and detestable in their own way, so it kind of makes you question who you would root for in this scenario. So I guess it's kind of like Twilight in a way, you choosing a team between 2 males and 1 female. And it all leads to an absolutely fantastic ending that had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. I really like Luca Guadagnino as a director, and the more I think about it, this truly might be my favorite film of his. Alright, we've made it to the top 5. At number 5, I have this year's Palme d'Or winner at the Cannes Film Festival, Anora. I was a really big fan of Sean Baker's previous 2 films, Red Rocket and The Florida Project, so I was really looking forward to whatever he did next. And then he goes on and wins the top prize at the most prestigious film festival in the world with this absolutely brilliant film. A beautiful yet unorthodox story about class and how the rich treat those who they see as beneath them. In a way, Anora is kind of like its own Cinderella story, but it's a very trashy and occasionally depressing Cinderella story. But the star of this movie, Mikey Madison, is just amazing in this. This is her breakout role, and I am so rooting for her to take home the Oscar in a few months. Ever since I saw her in movies like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, as well as Scream 5, I was rooting for her, and I really could not be happier that she has broken out like this. And just like Challengers, this movie is very anxiety-inducing all throughout, and it leads to an absolutely incredible ending. Except the ending of Anora won't make you feel anxious like Challengers did. The ending of Anora will most likely break you emotionally, especially the final shot. Good lord, what a movie. Batting cleanup on my favorite movies of the year list, I have one of the most underrated movies of the year, Didi. Coming-of-age movies really might be my favorite subgenre of film because I have not seen many coming-of-age movies that I haven't liked. And Didi is absolutely my favorite coming-of-age movie this year. It truly makes me feel old seeing coming-of-age movies that take place in the 2000s. But I think that's the reason that this movie really resonated with me and why I loved it so much. That's my era. That's the time I grew up in, so I can relate to a lot of things in this movie. Because I saw a lot of myself as a kid in this movie's protagonist, Chris. A kid who just wants to fit in and be with the popular kids. He doesn't know how to talk to girls, and he tries to be funny or lighten the mood in certain situations, but he just makes everything more awkward than it needs to be. Seriously, I was watching it and I was like, this kid is literally me. I did things like that when I was growing up. And it even took me back to some embarrassing moments in my life that I would much rather forget. I also felt such a sense of nostalgia listening to this movie's soundtrack and seeing all of the products that they use that pertain to the time. And that's really saying something because nostalgia bait almost never gets me, but it really worked on me in this movie. I absolutely love this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I will definitely be showing this to people, and I think it's a shame that not many people saw it. So please do yourself a favor and go watch Didi as soon as you can. It is available to stream on Peacock, I believe, right now. At number 3, I have a movie that should have been so much more popular than it actually was. Sing Sing. A24 absolutely botched the release of this movie. I was lucky enough to see this movie early at the Phoenix Film Festival earlier this year before its wide release. And after watching this movie, I was just truly blown away. I couldn't believe what I just watched. But the director of this movie, Greg Kuidar, was actually at my screening, and I shook his hand afterwards and congratulated him on making such a phenomenal film. But what I was most excited about was for other people to see this movie, because I feel like this is something that is so easily accessible and can resonate with anybody. But as I said, the release and distribution of this film could not have been handled any worse, so a lot of people never got to see it, and a lot of people still haven't gotten to see it. At the time I'm recording this video, this movie is not available to stream anywhere, and that is blasphemous. This movie is magnificent, and it deserves to be seen. This is such a beautiful story about the importance of the arts, especially for people who are trying to better themselves and their lives. And it was so refreshing to see, because typically for movies that take place in a prison, the prisoners almost never get better. They usually stay the same, or they get in more trouble. But that's why Sing Sing is such a breath of fresh air, because this movie has a very positive outlook on life and shows that anybody can improve themselves if they actually apply themselves. And I just need to talk about the acting as well, because Coleman Domingo is unbelievable in this, and he still gives my favorite performance by any actor in 2024. And his counterpart, Clarence Macklin, is a revelation, and to think that this was his first ever acting role, you would think that this man was doing it forever. And the fact that almost the entire cast was made up of actual prisoners that served in the Sing Sing Correctional Facility just makes it that much more impressive. I cannot say enough good things about this movie. It is incredible. It deserves to be seen. It is so fucking good. In my runner-up spot for my favorite movie of 2024, I have the latest film from director Richard Linklater, Hitman. Linklater is one of my favorite directors of all time, so I will watch anything that this man makes at this point. Glenn Powell gives what I believe to be a career best performance, along with Adria Arjona, who is equally fantastic. The two of them are absolutely fantastic together. They have such remarkable chemistry. They play off of each other so well, and this is perfectly showcased in a phenomenal scene that involves the use of a notes app on a phone. And like most Linklater movies, Hitman has fantastic dialogue, and all of the conversations feel very genuine and real. But one thing I didn't expect from Hitman was the tackling of very heavy themes. Themes such as identity, the ethics of undercover police work, and even the justice system as a whole. This is another movie I highly encourage you to go watch if you haven't already, because I watched it twice in the span of like a month. I loved it that much. If you follow me on any social media platform, you should absolutely know what is coming. My favorite movie of the year, what else would it be? It's Dune Part 2. No other movie that I watched this year truly enthralled me and transported me to what felt like another dimension more than Dune Part 2. I saw this movie in theaters 3 times. I saw it in IMAX all 3 times and twice in 70mm. And oh my god, what an experience that was to watch this movie in 70mm. I hope it gets re-released in that format eventually, because I will absolutely go watch it that way again. I knew as soon as I saw it that this was probably going to be my favorite movie of the year, and it would be incredibly difficult for anything to dethrone it. And there were a few movies that I thought had a chance to do that, but there weren't really any that came close. This is the only movie this year that I gave a perfect 10 out of 10 score to. And if you know me, or if you've been following me for a while, you will know me giving a 10 out of 10 score is very rare. Dune Part 2 does everything that the first movie did so well, and does it just as well, if not better. The cinematography, the direction, the editing, the costumes, the sets, the action, the visual effects, the score, all of it is just second to none. This movie is truly a spectacle. It is something that you have to see on the big screen with your own eyes and just behold it. And add in that this is one of the best ensemble casts of the year. Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, Christopher Walken, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Léa Seydoux. I'm sure there's people that I'm missing, but I can't name them all. But just know that everybody in this movie is amazing. And it just further expands on this universe's vast world building, politics, and religion. Dune Part 2 is an absolute masterpiece, and I am very comfortable saying that this is one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made. When I first reviewed this movie, myself and several other content creators were accused of glazing, or just being paid off to say that this movie is great. Because I guess it's just hard for those people to accept that a movie can truly be that great. And believe me, Dune Part 2 truly is that great. I will glaze this movie all day long, whatever the hell that means. It's perfect. It's a masterpiece. I love it so much. That's why it's my favorite movie of 2024. I need Dune Messiah like I need oxygen. I need Dune Messiah yesterday. Well, that's it, everybody. Those were my favorite movies of 2024. If you guys liked any of these movies, if you agree with my list, you disagree, you think there's something that I missed, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. If you guys like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. If you want to see my previous best movies of the year list from 2022 as well as 2023, I will link those right over here. And I'll just end this off by saying thank you to everybody who has subscribed to me this year or followed me on any other platform, because your support truly means a lot. I had a really great year doing this. I felt very successful and I had a lot of fun along the way. And your guys' support truly means the world to me, so thank you so much for that. But to end this off, I hope you all have a tremendous rest of your day. I hope you all had a great 2024, and I hope you all have a great 2025. Happy New Year, everyone, and I will see you all next year.